All right, Mrs. So stay on with us. I also have with me Master Bhaswati Mukherjee. Master Mukherjee, I want to understand from your perspective. We've just had our Prime Minister return from China. That's a widely been spoken about visit, not only because the Indian Prime Minister was there, but because the Russian President was there. And there are photographs that are now circulating widely as well of the three of them together at the SCO. And upon the Prime Minister's return to India, we now have the German Foreign Minister here as well. I want to pose the same question to you, Master Mukherjee. There is, like I said, a growing sentiment within the EU that while it will continue to remain and prosper as a bloc, there has to be some revision in terms of bilateral relations and for specific nations to really understand that they need to move forward with the current global scenarios. From your perspective, ma'am, how critical is Germany for India?
As our German guest has correctly pointed out, India has had for a very long time a vigorous, strong bilateral relationship and a trade partnership. I remember when I was Joint Secretary Europe West and Mr. Fischer was Foreign Minister, the Greens. I still remember that he introduced a kind of green card, business green card for Indian business, so that Indian business could smoothly transit. He had absolutely no problem with the issue of mobility that the Brits had when we were negotiating the India-EU VTIA, when UK was part of the European Union. And in fact, Germany has always stood for free trade, and with Germany, we've always had a clear understanding that we are happy to give concessions where we can, but as an emerging country now, as a developing country then, in Mr. Fischer's time, they had no difficulty in making compromises or helping us to get over the difficulties that a developing country would have in trading freely with a highly developed country. In addition, I would say that Germany had been a country which never had an issue with giving Indian business or people going for trade fairs. I remember visas. The Germans were the powerhouse of Europe at that point of time, and the Germans and India set up at that time, which still continues, a regular annual summit at the level of heads of state and government. That was most useful. In fact, it happened even before the regular India-EU summit started from June 2000. Now in India, this visit is of particular importance because India was very shocked at the manner in which its closest strategic partner, the United States, imposed extra 25% tariff on India and said that this is Modi's war on Ukraine, almost as if we have invaded Ukraine and not the Russians. Under those circumstances, and considering that in India's perspective, the European Union has caved in to Trump's pressure and has accepted a deal which, in our perspective, in India's perspective, is not good for the EU, actually makes Indians think that we are not so strong as such a big trading bloc. The big trading bloc did not stand up to Trump's pressure, but India stood up to Trump's pressure. And that also made India question that the common commitment that, let's say, Germany and India have for a rule-based order in the Indo-Pacific, as our German guest has said, which is represented in the Quad, how is it going to go forward? There is a Quad summit coming up this month in India. But if there is a rule-based order in the Indo-Pacific and Quad and AUKUS, the point here is that by dumping these tariffs on India, President Trump has reversed the emerging global order. And that is why you have these photographs going around of PM with President Putin, PM with Xi Jinping, and PM had a very long conversation with President Zelensky. So I'm sure he would take the opportunity, our foreign minister would take the opportunity of briefing the German foreign minister, who actually always gets to meet PM. That's a courtesy that is given on both sides. Our foreign minister also gets to meet the German chancellor. But we would get an opportunity to brief the Germans, with whom we have a very close bilateral relationship, on exactly what happened in the conversation with President Putin with regard to Ukraine, for example, and whether there is a way forward that our Prime Minister can suggest after his very long one-to-one with President Putin, which is now trending on Chinese media as number one item on Chinese media, but including the conversation inside the car, the vehicle, President Putin's vehicle, etc. So I think I agree with our German guest that it gives a very good opportunity for Germany to reassure India that regardless of whatever Trump does, that's his problem. The Indo-German relationship is not affected by Trump's tantrums or Trump's tariff war. That Germany and India have a relationship that is not touched by this kind of tariff war, which President Trump has decided to punish India because he's very careful about not touching China, which does much more trade with on Russian oil than India does.